right, it's our time to be free, family. What is going on? This is your girl Jay from It's Our Time to Be Free. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about 4 ways on how you can start dealing with guilt when you are setting your personal boundaries. You know, personal boundaries is something that we all need to set. You know, sometimes we set these boundaries for ourselves so that we can start putting ourselves first and start practicing no. You know, we say no, we can't work late tonight, or no, I can't drive you to the bus stop when we're talking to our kids, or no, we don't want to go out on the weekend when we're want to stay at home, and your friends asking you if you want to go out, or people who are asking you for money. No, I can't lend you some money. Guys, sometimes these boundaries that we set for ourselves, because granted, these are healthy boundaries that we set for ourselves, and sometimes when we're setting those boundaries, we may say no politely because we are protecting ourselves, and so we stick to our guns. But sometimes that can be really difficult to do, because sometimes we start feeling guilty because we said no. The boss asked us if we can work late, and we was like, no, can't really work late. And then, or the kids might ask for money, or ask to use the car, or ask if you can drop them off at school, or whatever the case is. Sometimes we start to feel guilty because we're feeling selfish, or we're feeling like we're mean because we said the evil word no. And guys, sometimes we might even feel tempted to even go back and apologize, and then still offer our help. But it really doesn't doing that don't really serve us. It doesn't serve us any good. Because I know a lot of times we might feel like, well, what kind of person am I really if this person really needed help? We start getting criticizing ourselves because we said no. We might feel like we're letting someone down because we said no. We might feel like, that we're being unreasonable, or people won't like us anymore, or our job won't promote us because we look like a bad team player because we said the evil word no. Guys, I'm gonna tell you like this. Society places such a huge emphasis on sacrificing our own needs to please other people. Okay, and I think that praise is usually tied to agreeing with somebody, agreeing with other people, or being nice, or making an effort. Guys, we are programmed to please other people, and that's not something that we can overcome very easily. So in today's video, I want to share with you 4 ways that you can deal with this boundary guilt that I like to call it, because we set our boundaries and then we feel guilty about setting boundaries for ourselves, or about saying no. So the first tip that I have for you is to acknowledge the guilt. I call it the guilt reflex, because as soon as we say no, our immediate reflex is guilt. So what you can do is accept that maintaining your healthy boundaries is really likely to make you feel guilty. Know that. It's more than likely to make you feel guilty at first. So because it's not usually easy to say no, it takes time and practice to build up your skills, and to build up those boundary setting muscles. I like to call them muscles because it's not easy. So because we're so used to people pleasing and saying yes, 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 and disregarding ourselves, that now those yes muscles are taking over, and the no muscles are just so weak and limp. So we want to build up those no muscles. Those muscles that we use to set our boundaries. So the thing that I can suggest to you is to really be kind to yourself and keep moving. Make sure you see it as a reflex and that you really don't need to continue using. See it as a reflex muscle that you really don't need to continue using. Number two is to look for the yes. Okay, if you're setting boundaries for yourself, you're saying no. You know, that's how it feels. Okay, but you can flip it around the other way, so you can work it out where you're saying yes. Okay, and hear me out here, because you're saying no out of your mouth, but you can work it to make you feel like you're saying yes. So maybe I don't know, maybe you're on time to pick up the kids, or having so much, needed downtime. Maybe these are things that you need. So you're really saying yes to those things instead of thinking that, okay, I told the other person no, so let me feel bad about myself. Think of it as you're saying yes to yourself. You're early to pick up the kids. You need that downtime to yourself. Maybe you're saying yes to help someone maintain their own boundaries so they can be more independent. So think of it, we want to turn that scenario around. Instead of thinking, oh, I done told that person no, maybe it's a point that you've told that person yes, I want you to be independent. So we have to turn these things around. Number three is don't explain. We get such in a habit of just explaining ourselves to people. We don't have to explain why we said no. No means no, and that's the end of story. When you want to say no, you can keep it plain and simple. Just plain and simple. Just say no. Okay? You don't need to have an excuse. You don't need to rationalize it. You don't need to explain why you're refusing to do something. You don't need to apologize because you said no. Okay? Just be polite and say no thank you, or I can't. Of course you can say I'm sorry, I can't. Just don't be tempted to apologize, or to make something into an apology, because what happens is when you start apologizing, oh I'm sorry, oh I'm sorry, oh I'm sorry, it just stirs up these guilty feelings. So we don't want those guilty feelings to stir up in us. So don't be so quick to offer an apology, or say I'm sorry, because I'm sorry, you just try to leave out I'm sorry, rephrase it into something else, do whatever you need to do, but don't continue to apologize for something that you set your boundaries for, because now it feels like you're apologizing for setting your own personal boundaries. And number four, okay, remember why you're setting boundaries. Okay, remember why you're setting these personal boundaries for yourself. So I want you to keep in mind that when you're setting these boundaries, it's not meant to be mean to other people, but it's really meant to be kind to yourself. Because weak boundaries don't do anyone any favors, guys. Self-care is not being selfish. It means taking care of yourself, and sometimes we need to take care of ourselves. But when you have these weak boundaries, they give people unreasonable expectations, and it's really a shortcut to you feeling overburdened, stressed, and resentful, because you said yes to something, or you let your boundaries down to please people, but you really didn't want to do it. So now you're feeling stressful, and now you're resenting either that person, or you're resenting yourself for not sticking to your guns when you said you had a boundary. People with stronger boundaries, they're happier, they're less stressed, and they have better relationships. And wanting that is no reason for you to feel guilty about anything. All right, that's what I have for you. I really hope these four tips helped you out in not feeling guilty when you are saying no. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, Make sure you hit the bell notification so that you can be notified when I create a new video. All right, guys, until the next time, it's our time to be free.